Welcome to this class that's going to really warm up your brain. We're going to work particularly on the cerebellum and kind of mapping out the areas of your hip joint for your brain. And don't worry if you're like, what does that mean? Basically, we're just going to be working on our hips and in particular internal and external rotation and doing some fun things that will challenge the cerebellum, like accuracy training and coordination, as well as our balance. So to begin, go ahead and just sit comfortably on your mat, sitting up nice and tall. Close your eyes or look down at the floor in front of you and take a full deep breath in through the nose. Let it out. Repeat that a few times, just breathing normally, or perhaps you find that you breathe a little bit deeper, a little bit more slowly. Now that you're being mindful in your breath. And just a reminder that this is already part of the brain training that we're doing. By breathing smoothly and fully through the nose, we're helping to calm the nervous system and send a signal to the brain that says, hey, everything's safe, everything's good, there are no threats. And so that's why we can always come back to that breath, breathing smoothly and deeply through the nose, allowing the belly to expand on the inhale. Anytime we feel challenged or uncomfortable, so that we can build resilience through that challenge and discomfort. And as you sit here breathing, you're invited to bring an intention to this practice. Again, this is not just woo-woo yoga stuff, but an opportunity to give our brain a signal that, hey, this stuff is not only safe, but it's also important. It serves a purpose. So whatever your intention is, whether it's just to strengthen, just to move your body, to feel good in your body, to learn something new about yourself, doesn't really matter what it is. Just find that intention and hold on to it as you go through the practice. Now, the next inhale that you make, you're going to do it as quickly as you can, as fully as you can, through the nose. And then just let it out naturally. We'll do 2 more like that. So inhale as quickly as you can. It doesn't matter if your lungs don't fill up completely, just make it nice and quick. And then let it fall out of you naturally. Last time. Good. And hopefully that's made you feel a little bit more awake to help stimulate parts of the brain that will make you want to move. So go ahead and open your eyes. Bring your arms straight out in front of you. Can you now just tap your first finger and thumb together, then open your hands out nice and wide. Thumb to middle finger, open the hands wide. Ring finger, hands wide. Pinky finger, hands wide. Repeat that. Okay, so thumb to each finger. Make sure you really open the hands out wide in between. And we started kind of slow, but you're going to try and pick up the pace, and you'll find that you'll want to get lazy and skip that opening of the hands part as you speed up. So try not to cheat. We'll do it just for a couple moments longer. All right, relax the hands down, maybe shake them out, and then just bring them straight out in front of you again. Go into flexion through the wrists, so bringing the fingers down and curl the fingers in as well, so we've flexed the fingers. Then all the way back up through extension, bringing the fingers as high up towards the sky as you can. Repeat that a few times. So nice and intentional, nice and mindful and deliberate movement, not flopping around, but as if you're moving through honey. All right, now keep your right hand where it is. Just rotate your left hand down. So fingers pointing down, palm still away from you. Flex both wrists, then flip the wrists over so fingers pointing up with the right hand. Then go back into that extension, flip them over. Repeat that. So flip the flexion, flip them, extension, flip them. And again, woo. We'll start small, start slow. It's really hard to talk and do these at the same time as well. But as you start to feel more coordinated, can you go a little bit faster and make them like a fluid movement? And you can see that my brain is just overloaded. I can't talk and do this at the same time. But just making figure eights with the wrists, but trying to do them in an opposite way. So this is really, really, really firing up the cerebellum, because the cerebellum is what helps us with intricate, coordinated movements. Hopefully, because you're moving through this resistance, this imagined resistance of like sweet, delicious honey, you are feeling your forearms really burning now. So we'll do a couple more moments of that. And then just kind of let it go. Keep the arms moving, the wrists moving, but whatever way works for you. If you can keep them in that opposite figure eight, then do it. But just bring them down by the sides, maybe back behind you. And you can take each ear to each shoulder. Just kind of get your neck warmed up. Maybe do some gentle circles through the neck. Again, moving deliberately and mindfully with your neck as much as possible. If you need to just forget about your hands moving so that your neck is feeling good and safe and protected, then do that. And maybe release the neck movements. Keep your wrists moving as you just take the shoulders in circles, shrugging them up to your ears, around and back. All right. Are you breathing? Have you stopped breathing? Can you remain in that smooth and mindful breath? 3, 2, 1. Release all that. All right, so if you just want to move on with the rest of your day at that point, I think you've warmed up your brain. Certainly your wrists are warmed up, but let's take it to the rest of our sequence. If you're with me, so come into a tabletop position. And just scan through your body in your tabletop. Make sure that you're not dumping through the shoulders. You're pressing your chest away from the mat. Your fingers are pressing into the mat. Your elbow creases are pointing in the direction that you like them to. I like to have mine pointing forwards. All right, and you're welcome to move through a couple of cat-cows here if you like. Maybe shifting a little bit more weight forward, just starting to bring your shoulders a little bit more forward towards your fingers, getting your hands and wrists ready to hold some of your weight. And come back to stillness. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees up. Set the left foot back, keep the right knee where it is, and just pick that right foot up. And with your right shin parallel to the mat, make sure you're still pressing out through the shoulders. Can you just windshield wiper your shin? So imagine you want to keep the knee directly above whatever point on the mat it's at, but just moving into, this is internal and external rotation of the hip. Move again mindfully and with intention. See if you can go a little bit further into that internal rotation and a little bit further into external rotation. One more time. Internal with the foot going off to the right and external with the foot going over to the left. Hold it in that external rotation and just give me a point and flex of the foot. So toes down to the floor and then up to the ceiling. Make sure you're still pressing out through the shoulders and you're still breathing. 3, 2, 1. Good. Hold the foot so that the toes are pointing down towards the mat. Lean forward to bring your knee as far forward to your right wrist as you can. Then lower everything down. So lean forward. If you need to, if it feels better on your wrists, you can take your fingers out wide. But lean as far forward as you can onto that right knee. In that external rotation, can you lift the left leg up? Hold here. Okay, if this feels like enough, just hold. Or if you want to add on, go into some circles with that left leg. Now make sure you want to imagine that you're trying to keep your left knee pointing straight down to the mat. So the knee isn't moving, the ankle isn't moving. All of the movement is just coming from the hip socket. Keep circling if you're circling. If this feels really challenging, then yeah, that's about right. All right, we're gonna finish with that left foot down, but in internal rotation. So bring the knee twisting as far over to the right as you can. So when you lower the foot down, it's almost like your heel is going to come down towards the mat. Can you start to shift some weight into that foot and then lift the right knee up towards the right armpit, still holding onto that external rotation like a pigeon pose. Lower it down, then lift the back leg up. 4 more like that. So left foot down in internal rotation. So heel is over towards the left. Lift up, external rotation of that right knee. Lift the back leg, lift the front, lift to the back, lift the front. Good. 1 more. Lift the back, lift the front. Oh, all right. So we're going to spin all the way around over to the left. So lift that left arm, lift the right knee. Let the knee come over towards the back of the mat as you lift the hips up. And take that left hand. Can you just reach around and touch the left sit bone? So that's the top of your femur, your sit bone. And just touch it, see where it's at. Lift the left arm back up, then take it back and see if you can touch that right sit bone or whatever the other one is. So with that sensation kind of there on your butt, maybe give them both a tap. See if you can lift those sit bones as high as you can. So feeling a more opening through the front of the thigh. All right, hold on to that. So glutes are really squeezing. Can you take the left hand to the right shoulder and just imagine you're trying to like guide your chest a little bit higher off of that mat. So really pressing out through that shoulder, then lift the left arm back up. Hold this shape, take an inhale. As you exhale, can you bring your pointer finger to your nose and then straighten that arm back out? Then the middle finger to your nose, back out. Maybe close your eyes as you bring the ring finger and then the pinky finger. Good. Lower everything down, look down at the mat to swivel all the way around, lowering the back knee as well. Maybe shake it out. Whew, good job. So let's do that on the other side, shall we? When you're ready. So in your tabletop position, we're going to lift the knees. This time, just take the right foot all the way to the back of the mat. Lift that left toe and windshield wiper. So look down at your knee. Make sure, imagine that your knee is like connected by a string to your mat, and you're trying to keep that string completely still. So as you go into internal and external rotation, the shin is the only thing that's kind of windshield wipering around. Good. 2 more. And finish as if you're going to go to pigeon. So external rotation, then point and flex through the left ankle point and flex toes down to the mat and up to the ceiling. 3, 2, 1. Shift forward. Toes tucked under on that left foot as you lower the knee down. As close towards the left wrist as you can get it. So again, fingers can go wide if you need to be a little bit kinder on your wrists. Shift forward to lift the right leg up and hold on to this, or if you want, add circles with that right hip. All right, if this feels like it's just too tough and you want to give your wrists a break, you can lower the elbows down. Just make sure you're breathing. 3, 2, 1. Just like before, you're going to finish with the right foot and hip, ideally. So the knee is pointing over towards the middle of the mat. And as you lower the foot down, the heel is going over towards the right. Then lift the left knee back up towards your armpit, holding onto that external rotation. Lower the knee down. Lift the right leg up. 4 more. Left knee comes up and down. Right leg comes up and down. 3, you're breathing. 2, 1. Good. Then pivot over towards the right. Lift the left knee up and spin it towards the back of the mat. Allow the hips to come up. Bring the right hand up. Bring it over to the left sit bone. Give it a little tap. See if you can find that sit bone. And then take it to the right sit bone. And feeling where those sit bones are, see if you can lift that point of your butt as high up towards the ceiling as you can. You should feel an opening through the hips. Take the left hand now to the right shoulder and just kind of rub it like you're just gently guiding it higher, your chest higher away from the mat, opening up, pressing out through that shoulder. Then eyes open or closed, we're going to do our accuracy training. So right pointer finger to the nose, and back out. So straightening the elbow all the way in between middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, glutes still lifting high. Look down towards your mat, lower everything down. Come back into your kneeling position. Shake it out. Good job. Alrighty. So we're just gonna come into a downward facing dog, and feel free to just kind of like wash out all those like hip things that we've done. If you need to, pedal the feet, push the hips side to side, whatever feels good. When you're ready, look forward and just walk the feet up to the front of the mat, however you like. Hip width distance. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold down, knees nice and bent. Just make this part feel good as you roll up to stand. Reach the arms up. Take an inhale, maybe come up onto the tiptoes, stretch it out nice and long. Exhale down. Awesome. All right, step your weight into the left foot, bring your right knee up to your chest, and you can hold on to it, clasping your fingers around that knee. And I want you to imagine now that you're stirring a big cauldron with your right shin. So make sure the movement's coming from the hips. You can guide it with the hands. So just making a big circle with your shin, stirring that big cauldron. Now, you're welcome to keep your hands on your knee, or if you want, you can maybe take one hand off, whoopsie, and maybe the other hand off. Can you keep stirring that cauldron? But imagine somebody's like moving it over to the right side of you. So remember, try and make the movement come from the hip. So imagine your knee is unable to move. Really weird position, I know. And then that person's moving the cauldron back so it's underneath you, just in front of you. And now they're moving it over to the left side. So try and keep your chest and hips forward as you bring the knee kind of up and down to keep that stirring action. All right, good. Then lower the left foot over to the right side. Come up onto your tiptoes, and can you just spin around? Nice. Bend into the left knee. Shift your weight forward. Just pick up the right foot and take it all the way to the back of the mat. Reach the arms up, crescent lunge. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lower the hands down. Step the left foot back to your plank. Flow through a vinyasa, coming down onto your belly. Inhaling into a baby cobra. Exhaling to your downward facing dog. And feel free, if you need to, just kind of like rinse everything out. Maybe do another vinyasa. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. Once you get to your down dog, put a little bend in the knees. Shift your weight back into your feet as much as you can and start sliding or walking your hands back towards your feet. Coming into a standing forward fold at the back of the mat. Once you get there, just like before, just roll up, just make it feel nice and good as you roll up to stand. All right. So just like before, shift your weight over to the left foot. Bring your right knee into your chest. You're welcome to add the circles or not. We're just going to take the leg out wide as if we're going to a tree pose. But then bring it back to center and back over across your body to the left, just like before. Lower the right foot down, off to the side. Can you fold forward here? When your hands reach the mat, crawl them forward to come into a downward facing dog. So one hand's probably going to be off the mat. Can you shift your weight into the right foot and lift that left leg up, but keep it kind of in line with where it was on the mat. So still leaning over towards the right. Lower it down. Lift it up. 4 more and down. Lift it up for 3, 2, 1. Good. Lift it up and take it all the way around to the left side, around your body. Cross it forward. And can you lower the left knee down next to the right wrist? Go into external rotation as much as possible. You're going to lift the right foot up to center it back onto the mat. Lift the hands up to center it back into the mat. Then just like before, you're going to lift the knee up and spin around, lifting the right hand up, coming in towards that sort of wild thing. Maybe you tap your sit bones and lift that part of your butt as high as you can. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, just pivot all the way back around, bringing the left shin as close to parallel to the front of the mat as you can. Shift forward so you can lift that right knee up. Take the right knee all the way around, and can you make it kiss the left knee? So we're in this kind of weird sideways squat thing. And then take that right leg all the way back around to where you started. touch the back of the mat and lift it back up and all the way around, kiss the left knee. Good, 2 more. Take it, see if you can get it right to the back of the mat and try and be deliberate and very accurate with where you put the foot. See if you can get it right in the same spot each time as you bring it forward. And then once you get it next to the left knee again, you're just gonna sit down on your hips. Lower the right hand down, lift the hips up to extend the left leg to the back of the mat. Reach the left arm up and over, lift the bottom knee up, lower it down. Can you lift the back leg up? Now option, just stay here, or maybe lift the right arm forward as well. Lower both hands and foot down, the hand and the foot down. Lift the knee up, so a little side plank. Lower the knee down, lift the back leg, maybe the front arm as well. Back down to lift the knee up. Good, 2 more. A little like baby full moon pose here, and a little like side plank kind of thing. And then holding your baby full moon pose, right hand down or not. Again, can you take the left fingers one at a time to the nose, just like we did before. So breathing as you go, straightening and bending the elbow, 1 finger at a time to touch the nose. Once you've done that, lower the left foot, the right hand back down, lift the right knee up and extend it to the back of the mat. Lift the left leg up into a little side plank. Bring it towards your chest to lower it down to the front of the mat. Rise up to a crescent lunge. Take an inhale. As you exhale, step forward to the front of your mat. Whew, good job. So let's do all that again on the other side. So shift your weight into your right foot. Bring the left knee to your chest. Again, maybe start with your hands clasped. Just kind of get that movement going. So if you're imagining that you're stirring a big cauldron, it's going to be easy to make it come through the knee, and that's fine. That's, it's not going to hurt you. But because we're trying to focus on the hips in this class, it's going to be a movement of the knee kind of coming up as you abduct and adduct to get that stirring action. Now that person's moving the cauldron over to the left. So can you keep stirring it? Just using your hip joint. And then it's coming back to center. And then it's going over to the right side. This is where it gets really challenging. All right. Then cross the left foot over towards the right, in front of the right leg. Come up onto your tiptoes. Nice big spin around. Can you do it without losing your balance? Bend your weight, bend the right knee, shift your weight into that right foot to lift the left leg and take it all the way back to the back of the mat, lowering it down nice and gently with control to come into a crescent lunge. Good, take an inhale. Exhale, lower the hands down, step back to your plank, meet in down dog, sort of wash out all these funny movements with however many vinyasas you feel will help you. Or maybe you're like, what are you talking about? I am in down dog waiting for you, Adell. Like, this is hard enough as it is. All right. So kind of just shake it out, wiggle it out, pedal it out. Press your weight back towards your feet. Slide the hands back as you walk your hands back towards your feet. Once again, into your standing forward fold. Bend the knees, roll yourself up to stand. Good, just like before. Left knee's gonna come to the chest. And again, you can leave out the circles if you want, or repeat them. And the reason we're doing this again is just to see, because chances are you've never quite moved your hip quite like this before. And so sometimes the first time we do something, it's just like, I don't get it. But then you just kind of move in through some movements that feel familiar, come back to it, and then the brain's like, hang on, I remember this. And it's a little bit more kind of willing to cooperate. All right. Not mine though. Let's step that left foot over to the right, just like before. Start to bend at the hips, bending the knees if you need to lower your hands down and walk them forward until you're in this weird down dog shape. One hand will probably be off the mat. Can you shift your weight into the left foot to reach the right leg up? Keep it pointing over towards the left as much as possible. Lower it down and lift it up for 4. Lower and lift 3, 2, you're breathing, 1, good. And then you're gonna take it all the way, that right leg, all the way up and around, rocking forward to bring the right knee over towards the left wrist, to lower it down, lift the left foot up, bring it back onto your mat, lift the hands up to crawl them back onto your mat. Right toes are tucked under as much as possible, that shin, as much as possible, parallel to the front of the mat. Mine's nowhere near it. We're gonna lift the knee up and pivot around, lifting that left hand up to come into our wild thing. Squeeze your butt so that your sit bones are the things lifting as high as possible. Take an inhale. As you exhale, bring the right knee back down as much as possible towards that pigeon shape. Shift your weight forward to lift the left knee up. Swing it all the way around. Kiss the right knee. Take it up and around, lower the left foot back to the back of the mat. Maybe even glance back there. See if as you move through this movement a few times, so knees together and then left foot back, you can touch the same spot on your mat every single time, kind of working into our accuracy training. So it's not just an accident where it lands, you put it exactly where you want it. Good, last time. Whew. We'll finish with the knees together and just sit down. Maybe shake it out a little bit before we move into our side plank little sequence. So left hand is going to go down, lift the hips up to extend the right foot to the back of the mat. Adjust as you need to. See if you can. Press down through the outside of the right foot to lift that left knee up. Lower the left knee down, lift the right leg up, maybe. Lift the left arm and lower those back down to lift the left knee up and down. Lift the right foot, the left hand. That left hand can stay down. Left knee comes up. Right foot comes up. Good. One more. Remember your breathing. And remember your intention that you set at the beginning. All right. So right leg is up. Maybe the left arm is up as well. Can you balance here as you do your accuracy training with your right fingertips touching the nose one at a time, straightening the elbow all the way out in between fingertip to nose. Good. Once you've done that, replace the left hand and the right foot back down. Lift that left knee up one more time just to step it to the back in front of the right foot. Bring the right knee up towards your right armpit. As you pivot around, look down towards your mat to lower the right foot down at the front of the mat. Let the left heel come up so you rise up into your crescent lunge. Take an inhale. Exhale. Step forward to the front of the mat. Nicely done. All right, so we're gonna do that again, but we're gonna skip all the repetitive things. All right, so just have fun with it, move through that sequence. So shift your weight into the left foot, right knee's gonna come up. Just take it out to the side and then back in front, across your body, straighten the knee, lower the foot down, come up onto the tiptoes. Spin around, bend into the left knee, shift your chest forward to lift that right leg up and step it back to the back of the mat. Bring your hands to your hips, and can you start to give me a few little hip circles? So like you got a hula hoop, and circling around in one direction and then the other. Now, you're welcome to just carry on with this, nice few little hip circles in one direction and then the other. But remember what we did at the beginning? See if you can add that in with your fingers touching the tip of the thumb, nice and spread wide in between the taps as you continue to circle. And you'll find that suddenly you're not as smooth as possible probably, and circling in the other direction as well. Breathing. All right, good. Reach the arms up, take an inhale. As you exhale, lower the hands down. Step the left foot back to your plank. Flow through whatever movements feel good for you. until you get to your downward facing dog, and go ahead and walk your hands all the way to the back of the mat to roll yourself up to stand. Once again, right knee is going to come to your chest. Take it out wide. See if you can just, maybe go a little bit further, like just be really intentional with it. As far over to the right, to the side as you can. Then back to center, maybe bring it as high up towards your chest as you can. Keep it as high as you can as you cross it over your body. Really feel those inner thighs working. Straighten the knee, lower the foot down. Fold through the hips, lower your hands down and crawl them forward. And from here, just lift that left leg up. Take it all the way up and around, bending the knee. Take the left knee all the way to the center of the mat, or the shin rather. Lift the right leg, center it back on the mat. Lift the hands, center them on the mat. Lift the knee back up to pivot around into your wild thing. Take an inhale as you lift those sit bones high towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower the left knee down in that pigeon shape. So external rotation through the hip. Right leg's gonna come up and around to meet it. Hips go down on that heel, right hand stays down, left foot reaches to the back of the mat, right knee comes up. Just step that right foot back to meet the left, lift the left leg up, look down towards your right hand, pivot everything around to rise up into your crescent lunge. Good job. Now here we're gonna add on a little bit of funness. That's such a redundant way to say that, fun. We're adding fun. So I want you to bring your awareness to that back leg. And hopefully your heel is more or less reaching up towards the ceiling. Bring your hands to your hips. See if you can make sure you're not in too much of an anterior pelvic tilt. So not arching through the spine too much. If you need to, bend the back knee. Think about those sit bones again. Reach back there and poke them. Push them forward. Hold on to that as you maybe work to straighten that right knee again. All right, now holding this nice strong shape, can you take the right ankle, over towards the right side? So going into internal rotation. Make sure you're trying to find a little bit of a twist through the hip. So the rotation's coming through the hip. If this feels like really intense or uncomfortable on your knee, shorten your stance so you can have more weight in that front leg, all right? So just play around with how that feels. And then keeping the hips square, we'll go into external rotation through that back hip, a much more familiar position for us yogis, more warrior one. But play around a couple more times, bringing the hip as much as possible through external and internal rotation. All right, now finish. We're gonna finish with the heel up, all right? Reach the arms up overhead and choose a focal point, something straight out in front of you. Hold on to that focal point. You're gonna hop off of the left foot and come to stand on that right foot at the back of the mat, left knee pulling into the chest. Good, and then just step back to your crescent lunge again. Maybe do that a few more times, get a feel for it. All right, but now, we're gonna see if we can do it with our external rotation. So that warrior one stance. So just go to a position where you feel good, you feel solid, knee feels good, and can you hop off of that right foot, left foot I mean, and so you'll end up rotated, not facing the front of your mat. All right, and then back to center yourself on towards the front of the mat. So try that a few times. And yeah, I'm definitely starting with the easiest. So yeah, once you've had to play around with that, you know what's coming. We're gonna try it with the internal rotation. So remember, like I said, if this just doesn't feel right for you all the way back here in a long lunge, shorten the stance. What we're gonna do is hop off that left foot and see if we can find a standing position with the left knee up at the chest, kind of moving out of that rotation of the hip that we're in our lunge. So maybe play around with it a few times until you're like, okay, I get it. I've got the balance now. All right. So then center yourself on that mat. Maybe shake out that right leg. It's been doing a lot of work. Shift your weight back into the right leg when you're ready. Put a little bend in the knee if you need to. Bring the left leg back behind you. Chest goes forward. Warrior three. Now, you may want to do this next to a wall, but can you turn your body over towards the right, so your left leg goes over towards the left as you go into internal rotation through that standing hip. Then back through center, rotating the hip as you bring the body to your torso to the left and your left leg to the right. So see if you can maybe start very, very small to begin with. Maybe you're using a chair to hold on to. Maybe you're wobbling all over the place. Wobbling is how we learn. Wobbling is great. That's also really good for the cerebellum. But see if you can just kind of move in between that internal and external rotation of the standing leg a few times. All right, and we're gonna finish in a warrior three. Never felt so easy. Look down at your mat, see if you can place your hands exactly where you want them to, okay? And kick up, hop off that right foot and lower it back down, looking at the mat to see if you can lower the foot exactly where you want it. But what we're gonna do that same little movement of lowering the hands down, just taking a little hop off of the right foot to bring it forward. And so working on finding a point on our mat to lower our hands, and then same thing with the foot as we kind of hop our way forward. And maybe, you know, if you're a handstand addict like me, maybe you wanna throw a little handstand in there. But the most important thing is that if you say, okay, I'm gonna land my foot at that little speck on my mat, it really does land there, all right? So definitely recommend getting a mat with some alignment guides, like a Lifeform mat, for this accuracy training. Really, really good for the cerebellum. All right, so when you've done all that, that right leg, is gonna be on fire. All right, we'll just do all that with the left leg now. That right leg is gonna be on fire as we go into our next sequence, and it's just gonna remain on fire for a little bit longer, because we're gonna start with now our left knee in at our chest, just like before. Nice and deliberate and smooth. Take it all the way over to, as if you're going to a tree pose. Then back out in front of you. Cross it across your body. See if you can go just a little bit further. Really feel those inner thighs working. And then place the left foot down. Rise up onto the tiptoes, spin around, bend into the right knee, pick the left foot up to step it all the way to the back of the mat. Bring your hands to your hips, remember how we did before. A few little hip circles here. And in the other direction. And maybe this is just enough for you. And that's totally cool. If you feel like less like a hula hooper and more like you're doing the robot, then maybe it's worth just staying here and circling. But if you want to add on and challenge your brain a little bit more, we'll add those finger taps. So tips of the fingers, each one taking a turn to tap the thumb. Remember, trying to open the hands nice and wide. Breathing as you go. So you circle in the other direction now. Good. All right, and release that. Reach the arms up, take an inhale. Just like before, just wash it out, rinse out all those weird movements as you take your foot back to plank and flow through something like a vinyasa, whatever feels good for you, just to kind of, I don't know, neutralize the body again. Once you get to your down dog, walk the hands back to rise up to stand. Shifting the weight once again into the right leg, left knee to the chest. Take it all the way out to the side. See if you can go a little bit further. Maybe those hip circles made a difference. That's kind of the point. Maybe you find a little bit of more ease, more balance, more range of motion. Once your left knee is crossing over to the right, just straighten the knee and lower the foot down. This time fold through the hips. Walk the hands forward. Lift the right leg up and all the way around, bending the knee, crossing it across your body to lower the shin towards the middle of the mat. Lift the left leg up to center it, lift the hands up to center them, and then lift the right knee up to spin around to your wild thing once again. Take an inhale, pressing those sit bones high towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower back down towards that pigeon shape. Lift the left leg up to bring it in line with the right knee. Sit down, left hand goes down, right foot goes to the back of the mat. Just lift that left knee, step the left foot to the back of the mat, lift the right leg up towards your chest, look down towards the left hand, slowly lower the right foot down, rise up to your crescent lunge. All right, so you can lower your hands to your hips. Remember, we want to first of all find more or less a sort of nice stable pelvis, okay? It really doesn't matter if it's in one tilt or the other. We just want it to be really stable, okay? And for me, I feel most stable when I'm in a more sort of neutral position through the hips because my glutes have to work really hard to put them in that position while I'm in a lunge. So once you're there, can you very mindfully start to take the left ankle over to the left, going into internal rotation through that left hip, and then over to the right. Just like before, if this feels in any way funky on the knee or the hip or just anything, if you're feeling dizzy or sick or anything like that, shorten your stance, pause the video, take a breath. But if you're all right, wherever you are, just take the foot from one side to the other, nice and slowly, nice and mindfully. All right. Maybe just notice, like, if it's the same on the other side or if one hip feels a little bit more sort of uncomfortable in one rotation or the other. And then finishing in neutral, just like before, choose a focal point straight out in front of you. Reach the arms up overhead and hop off of the right foot to the back of the mat. Step it back forward into your lunge. Try that a few times. I won't count you because I want you to give yourself time to kind of set up. If you need to, you don't have to go straight back like me. All right? Go as quickly or as slowly as you need. When you're ready though, we're gonna try it from that warrior one stance. So external rotation of the back hip, hop it off. See if you can find balance. As we move from external rotation of the back leg to neutral. All right. And then, I cheated that time. Try and get those hips forward when you go to your lunge. And then finally, the most challenging perhaps, definitely novelty is so good for the cerebellum. Try it with the internal rotation. Whoa, totally overdid it. So those mistakes, all the wobbles, all the falls, it's just turning that cerebellum right up to full blast. Cerebellum is what helps us with our coordination and our balance as well as our accuracy. So, good job. Shake out that left leg. We're just gonna play around with it a little bit more for our warrior three. So grab that chair or something if you need it, or a wall, whatever. Put a little bend in the left knee as you find your warrior three. Right leg extends to the back, chest is forward, and play around with rotating yourself around on that hip. And feel free to use your hands to help balance you as well. Now, if you find this super simple, I mean, whoever you are, congratulations on being a total superhuman badass, but you can always add in some of the little hand things or wrist things that we've done. All right, if you do want to just make this even more challenging. All right, so when you've done that, same as before, we're just going to hop ourselves up towards the front of the mat. So on that left leg, I know it's really tired. Choose the point where your hands are going to lower and see if you can get them to lower there, and then choose a point where your foot's going to lower and see if you can land it exactly where you want it to land. So using your eyes to tell your foot where to go, and that's gonna go via your brain. All right, once you get to the top, good job. Standing up, just shake it out. Give everything a good shake. Maybe even give everything a nice rub. Rub it all down. As you come to sit down, hugging your knees into your chest, roll onto your back. And give the ankles a little circle out, nice and gentle. It doesn't have to be like ankle cars. Controlled articular rotations, just, Make it nice and easy. And close your eyes as you maybe just settle in. If there's a different position that feels better for you, then feel free to do that. When you're ready, though, we're just going to finish off by sitting up in a comfortable position. And we're going to do something that's called the gamut procedure. And it's a really, really good tool for sort of lowering anxiety, getting us out of any sort of sense of extreme negative emotion. And hopefully that's not something that you're experiencing right now. But your brain might be a little bit like, wow, I just did so much, all right? So it definitely doesn't hurt to do this. You're gonna find the gamut point, and that's where the pinky finger and the ring finger come together. You're gonna take your finger about halfway up the hand. You're gonna look for that point right there. And you may even feel that there's like a little tender spot there, because that is a pressure point. Okay, so what you can do is you can tap there. I find it kind of unpleasant to tap. I personally like to just take 2 fingers and just kind of like rub gently there. All right, so once you've got that going, tapping or rubbing firmly, close the eyes and open them. Make sure you're breathing. Without moving your head, look down and to the right, back to center. Still tapping, look down and to the left, back to center. Roll your eyes all the way around in a circle, looking up, and then taking them all the way around clockwise, and then counterclockwise, big circle. Still tapping on that gamut point. Back to center. Take a deep inhale. We're going to do a big Om together. Count out loud with me to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 and back down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A big Om, focusing on that M, so humming. Good. Release the pressure point and just take a deep breath in. Exhale when you're ready. And finally, I want you to just look around the room and see if you can find something that you've never noticed before. Or if you're in a super, super familiar room, maybe something that you haven't looked at or brought your attention to for a really long time. And just study it, just notice it. And then do the same thing again, find something else, maybe that you've never noticed before. Just breathing and relaxing. Good. And then come back to center. Bring your hands to your heart. And if you can, become aware of your heartbeat. So if it feels better to close your eyes, you can do that. Maybe you can feel your heart beating through your hands. Maybe you can just feel it in your chest. And just breathe with that heartbeat a few times. Maybe even imagining the lungs, the air filling up your lungs, kind of passing through your lungs into your arteries and into the heart. So that heartbeat that you feel is absolutely connected at one with your breath. Maybe you even feel you're breathing through the heart, the inhales and exhales passing through the heart. Because in a sense they are. Just keep focusing on your breath and your heartbeat. And you're welcome to come back to that intention that you set at the beginning of this class. And you're welcome to release that intention now, or maybe you want to hold on to it, take it into the rest of your day. Maybe it needs a little alteration to bring to the rest of your day, but just focus on that intention for one moment longer as you breathe. Aware of how you feel, not just in your mind now, but also in your body. With a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for this body and all of the experiences it allows you to have. And gratitude for yourself, the journey that you've been on, all of the people that you've touched in your life, the people that you've uplifted, and perhaps those who have uplifted you. And you're invited to stay there for as long as you like, breathing intentionally, listening to your heartbeat. I thank you for joining me. Namaste.